Hello and welcome to Coast, a new Close to My Heart collaboration where makers get together and showcase close to my heart products and techniques and just the joy of working with the Close to My Heart papers. So today, or this month I should say, we decided to focus on Christmas cards because it's that time of year that we are looking for some cards that we can send out to those and wish them happy holidays, Merry Christmas, just time to celebrate the seasons. So I don't think your first thought when you see this Cherish paper is Christmas cards, and yet for me I love the colors of it. It's the softness and it easily can convey the feeling that I think Christmas invokes for me. So I took some of the shortbread, couldn't think of the name of the color, some shortbread cardstock and cut out one of the full of the 3 circle slimline cards. And then this is the striped paper from the Cherish paper pack, and it wasn't quite white enough, which is perfect because I really just wanted to have a frame of the cardstock with this pattern paper on top, just again to add some more layers. So here I cut them together so that I would have them centered, but then I need to trim the bottom off so that it is truly a frame within that original die cut. So I have that done, and then my base slimline card is 3.5 by 8.5. So I'm just gonna stack these up here, and I dry fit when I create things because I just find that if you move something just a fraction of an inch, it really can change how a project turns out. So here's some other die cuts that I'm using in my card. I have some old snowflake thin cuts, and there are some brand new snowflake thin cuts out that it's hard to justify when I already have some snowflakes, but they're on my wish list, so be sure to go check those out. So I cut out these snowflakes in Harbor, Mist, the metallic silver from a while ago, and vellum. And I also cut out the ones that are really pointy and thin. Julie Scott did a thing for Twisted Sister where she made snowflakes out of the veins from the simple leaves, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here, is to create a layer in my snowflake with these veining. And I didn't do those with the Mist or the Harbor cardstock. I only did those in the silver or the vellum. I don't know, for me it just felt like that was the right scale to have I didn't want to have the weight of, let's say, the Harbor cardstock as those thin veins. But if you do that, I would love to see it. And now I'm just taking one of each of the colors and stacking it up and making my unique snowflakes. So I'm grabbing this Christmas Haven, I believe, stamp set, and I'm going to show you a little technique that I do for when you stamp the image, that you can color the background and kind of get the shape of the text. This particular image is not exactly mirrored, but it works well, and I'll show you what I mean here. So the first thing I'm going to do is with the Mist cards, or Mist ink, I'm just going to stamp that image, and then I'm going to put the stamp on upside down so that the letters or the words are actually clinging to the block. And now I'm going to grab that shortbread ink and kind of make a shadow or an outline behind those words. And I will cut that out, and I also then use this shape that I'm cutting as a pattern to cut it out again from other white daisy cardstock. And that was just, I didn't know exactly what direction I was going with other cards for this collection that I'm making, but I knew I was going to use some pink. You'll see that later, and I didn't want the shortbread in the pink. It just didn't work for me. So to just camouflage the edges where I cut out a little further around the words, I'm using that shortbread ink and a blender brush, or blender sponge I should say, and just inking the edges there. So now to put together my snowflakes, because on those simple leaf veins I've cut them apart and all, I'm just showing you that you add glue to the back and you can just stack those up. And here with vellum, because it's going to be in the background, you're not going to see anywhere that the adhesive is, so for the first time I didn't have to worry about, oh, where's my glue, because this is vellum. And I'm bending up a couple of the layers just to give it some dimension. This is where I was talking about using this shape kind of as a template, and you can see I already cut one out in the upper right corner of the screen, and I do that 3 times and stamp it here, and then I just have those ready to go as I create some more cards later on. Again, I'm just showing you how I glue together all of these little vellum pieces and make sure that my snowflakes stay intact when they go through the mail. So I added my glue, and then you can't really see the vellum on my desktop. I apologize for that. But I cut off the tops and bottoms of these veins from the simple leaves, and I'm alternating the top and the bottom so that there's some uniformity as far as a top one and a bottom one as it works around the snowflake. And again, you just kind of create some layers with your different shapes that you have, and you end up with this great individual snowflake. Even if you tried to do this exactly the same, it's going to be a little different just because it's handmade. And I think that's kind of the joy of crafting, is everything is one of a kind. So I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of all of my cardstocks, but not make you watch me do all of that. And then I will stack everything up and we'll be good to go here. Off camera, after I inked everything out, I went ahead and put some foam tape behind this green stripe layer, and as you saw, I'm holding it from the middle because that way I can kind of pinch through to the bottom layer and feel where those circles are and get it lined up perfectly, and that's just what works for me. I don't know if you have ever glued things on upside down. In this particular case, I could have turned it around, but I just wanted to make sure that my card was going to open correctly. So as you can see from where I first dry fit to where I'm deciding to put the sentiment now, I've changed my mind, and so I'm nestling it just on the bottom right of that center circle. And I decided I needed one more set of snowflakes kind of peeking out from underneath, kind of to give that flow on the card, but I didn't necessarily need such an elaborate snowflake as I did with the other two. I didn't feel that it needed all 4 layers of the vellum, the mist, and all. So I'm just going to kind of tuck these 2 pieces in underneath my sentiment, and we are good to go. And as you can see, this is one of the die cuts that it slipped as it went through my machine. I didn't tape it down, that was my fault, but those are still usable. You just kind of have to tuck them in behind where people aren't going to see them anyhow. So I try to keep all of those as options as I create, and it just gives you, like I said, more interest sometimes, or things turn out better than they would have had you not had those available. And why I'm doing foam tape on half of it is because I did pop tot up that green layer, and so I want everything to be even, so anything that's going to fall within the circle needs to have that foam tape on it. I like to coordinate my envelopes and inside, so again with that mist and shortbread inks, I am taking a snowflake from one of my old retired sets, and I'm just going to add some random snowflakes in first and second generation of the mist and the shortbread. And so first generation is when you stamp it the first time with full ink, and then second generation is when you've stamped it once and then stamp it right again without inking it up. And I just like the faded effect that that gives. Again, I took a Merry Christmas off of one of my older stamp sets. I'm always amazed when I go back through, I find little treasures on my stamps that I didn't even realize I had. So here's 2 more cards that I have created just to kind of give you some options. And this one uses flamingo as the pink color. And then I also added some toffee in the film strip on the one. So here you can kind of look at the photos up close, give you an idea of some of the depth and details in them. These were a lot of fun to create. I'm looking forward to sending them out and wishing people a Merry Christmas, and hopefully that they enjoy receiving these cards. Be sure to check out the other gals that are doing this coast to coast collaboration. Their links will be in the description under the video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do that now. Be sure to just subscribe to all the other gals so that you don't miss any of our collaborations. And here's another video you may be interested in. Blessings!